So that now let's transition into like Africa,
Yeah.
multiculturalism in Africa.
Yeah.
You know, Africa is filled with so many tribal groups,
Yeah.
ethnic groups, and all of that. Some countries have as much as 200 that our own, yeah, motherland, as much as 200 and above. Some have 50, some have even just three, and they still have
Issues.
Oh,
that
yeah.
issues like we saw with the Rwanda genocide,
Right.
right? Even just with three major ethnic groups, they still had that sort of catastrophe that happened. So when it now comes to Africa, particularly Nigeria, right, where we have like this multiculturalism happening, and particularly when it comes to like our political system or political structure, it feels like that is one of the major triggers of cultural conflicts or ethnic conflicts or tribal conflicts, you want to call it that. So, how what would you say would be like a good way to set up or maintain multiculturalism in Nigeria? Or we just feel like it's best if we maybe go down the path of breaking into ethno-national states?
Now, I think one way I'll answer this, and I forgot to mention it, America has an identity. Everybody immigrating to America has this the American dream. You want to achieve the best economic status you can achieve. You know, like you're going to be productive. Like everybody knows that you're going to work hard.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to go and slouch.
Yeah.
Canada too has it. We need to figure out what the Nigerian identity will be like.
Very true.
So what society do we want to have? We can copy the Canadians and like codify like what our identity will be like. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing with theirs. It has to be something that we do intentionally. I feel like the issue is that like we are not intentional about nation building.
Yeah, very true.
We had this national confab in 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of it was taken into account afterwards. So we just brought people together, everybody said stuff, and we left it there. So I feel like one of the things I would propose is that like we need to be intentional about what a Nigerian identity looks like. So that everybody who lives in Nigeria has something they can look to and be like, oh, this is what it means to be Nigerian. Because right now it doesn't seem there is. We just know we are Nigerian because we all live in the same place, like Josh mentioned. We live in the same place geographically. And what are the things that binds us? Nobody can really mention what they are. So it is the responsibility of government, the policymakers, to craft out an identity, craft out like this dream of what it means to be a Nigerian, so that people can buy in. Because like you need to craft out a vision. You know, people talk about the leader of Dubai, of UAE. You crafted out a vision of what he wanted this country to be like.
Right.
Singapore with Lee Kuan Yew. So they crafted out visions of, oh, these are the societies we want to build. And everybody else just keyed into those visions. So I feel that's what is missing. We are multicultural, yes. But what vision, what identity do we want combine us together? So we need people that will think about those things, not just bring people together and then actually codify them and follow through. Because I feel like we have lots of ideas, lots of, we talk too much.
Yeah.
See this tax bill now. The person in charge, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, he went to speak with all the governors, spoke with everybody. Then he came to pass the bill. The northern guy said no. You see what is it that we have problems? So like we can't even agree on a tax bill.
All right. So Samantha, what do you think would be a good system? Should we probably revamp, restructure the multicultural society like in Nigeria, for example? Or will you say that we should just revert to ethno-national states?
If we revert to ethno-national states, it's only going to push the problem backwards, or should I say forward?
Push them very locally.
Yeah. If we still exist.
Yeah.
Let's come locally. Ife Mudakeke, we all heard the story.
Oh yeah.
We didn't stay there. These are neighboring towns. They're in the same states. They speak similar languages, right? Probably have the same ancestral trace, and yet they kill themselves. And that got resolved sometimes later. I've mentioned before, humans are different to the fundamental level. As the group becomes smaller, the differences are smaller. As it becomes bigger, the differences are bigger. We need to deal with the differences. All right. And so we need a shared sense of identity. What gives Yorubas the sense of identity? They don't even speak the same dialect. All right. But eventually it's Oduduwa. He has 7 children. It doesn't matter which of the grandchildren you are.
As long as you're from Oduduwa.
Is our father. That is one thing. What makes us Nigeria? We don't have anything. And so we need that, and that requires tough actions. we need to craft one out. If that means that we need to offend some people, yes, we should. Most of the referendums that have happened in other countries, like Brexit, for it, not everybody agreed to it. The popular vote decided it, and every other person has to fall in. And so issues like the northern governors are not agreeing to is something we have to decisively deal with. Nobody should be afraid to deal with that. If this is going to lead to the economic prosperity of the nation, we need to do that. It doesn't matter whether or not your religion agrees to it. It doesn't matter or not. I mean, it doesn't go against your religion anyways. So what are we talking about here? Let's deal with it. You see that somehow we found a way to agree on sharing resource.
Oh yeah.
When you pull out oil from Bayelsa, you share it and give everybody their share.
You give somebody in Zamfara, you collect, no
Exactly.
questions asked.
No question asked. So when it comes about building identity, we have to deal with that. I know in one of your recordings over the weeks, you a mention have been made about Obasanjo because he actually did try to build something like that.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, I remember talking about Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. I've not heard any name that's give me any form of importance and any form of respect for a president of Nigeria since Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. I've not heard anyone. I think there is this sense of, okay, we are Nigeria. It might not be too big, but there is a sense of it at that point in time. Right now, we do not have that. There is a divide. And that divide is because we've had leaders that take using it as an advantage
Yeah.
to push their own
They fuel those
personal-
divides to push their own personal
personal
agendas.
interest. So we need to identify them. And as young people, because I think we are the one that can do that, because it's easy to just say we should do. The people that can do that are younger people like us that obviously this is the only place we know anyways. We are still bound by geography anyways. And so we have to deal with the identity. We still use the same passport. So we need to start looking at, okay, what do we need to be known for? And there's so many things. I'll give you an example. If you look at UK, for instance, they might not do anything, but football, everybody knows where it is. It can even be Afrobeat. It can be as simple as having small areas that somebody can say, you know what it means for me to be in Nigeria is I can become the best Afrobeat singer tomorrow, and this is the place I can follow. So something like that is something we can do.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was very insightful. I also say, like, like you mentioned, we talked about it in one of our previous recordings. I haven't tried to attach it earlier, so people can check it out.
Yeah.
What's the ideal Nigerian identity,
Exactly.
right? So, but usually, generally, I'll say like, what forms identity is like, number one, your language.
Yeah.
Language is a fundamental part of identity. There
That's
has to be a Nigerian language that we all.
But yeah, we've adopted English as our official language and pidgin colloquial.
Yeah, they're saying it now. I think a pidgin language is something that cuts across every facet.
So it's more a shared identity than
it's more of a shared identity than English. English is more like an American,
Foreign.
like a boring.
it's a foreign language.
Yeah.
Everybody speaks English. So, but that's the pidgin English. When you hear someone speak pidgin, if you're in America, you hear someone speak pidgin, what comes to your mind is that
Na Naija boy.
you get
Yeah.
So that I think that can be a good premise to start a Nigerian identity, right? And in addition to pidgin English, as well, we also have some cultural similarities. The way we perceive elders, how elders should be treated, things like respect, things like family values as well.
Oh, yeah.
How a child should be raised up as
Yeah.
well. We have those similarities. Those things should be emphasized in our secondary school curriculum, our primary school curriculum, right? I think we've not done enough work in terms of like introducing civic education as a core part of primary education.
And secondary fact.
Yeah, in the US, when you go to high school, you start learning things like the Declaration of Independence, all those other fundamental documents, right? That started. In Nigeria, people don't even know that we've had like up to 6 constitutions.
Oh,
They don't even know what the constitutions are.
Magnificent.
Legitimate's constitution, McPherson, as you said, yeah, the 1999 constitution. They don't even know what it is. So that civic education also needs to, be introduced into our society.
So we have civic education.
do.
No, I'm saying it has to be a core part of our education.
Yeah, we should emphasize more. on
Civic
it.
education is just more like
One of those courses that we do.
business education.
I think it's because
it should be a core part of it. Like as you're coming out from secondary school,
yeah.
one of the major things, in addition to your science, your art, whatever, is civic education. They can ask you any basic question about Nigeria.
You should be able to give answers to
Yeah,
it.
what are the fundamental things that prompted we going to the Legitimate's constitution or the McPherson's constitution, so that you don't keep making the same mistakes of the past over and over again, because that's what we are doing. And then
I think I want to make a comment that I think it's just that we have leaders that know that ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost intentional. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
These things are so fundamental that it's not actually difficult to implement. They are not going to hurt anybody to implement something like this. And it's going to be universal in terms of it's going to be across board. I mean, if you go to
schools.
any school in Akwa Ibom or you go to any school in the northern
Yeah.
state, you're going to have that. When the majority schools were founded by Jonathan government, what happened to them afterwards?
Abandoned.
So they become not functional. So what happened to the kids we have there? They are never going to have this knowledge, even if they are being taught in school. So what kind of leadership do we have that kind of abandon a project of such nature? So I think that we also need, that's why I say young people like us can be in the best position
Yeah.
to do it, because we are eventually all these people will die. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's going to come to whether or not we like it. So when we become older too, are we going to become the proverbial old fool like we do have it today?
I agree with you. So I think we've kind of made some good points. Already made that language is one of those things that can help to build the Nigerian identity, like emphasizing cultural values and then also emphasizing civic education.
And emphasizing economic prosperity.
100%.
We are poor.
Shared economic prosperity.
You know, like there's a misconception that Nigeria is a rich country. I want to dispel that misconception. I'm speaking to the audience now.
Natural.
We are not a rich country. I do not want to hear anybody mention that again. It vexes me.